You're being watched.
Police, stop!
Stop. That guy's coming in with something. Get the Stop. You!
This is the police department.
Hit him. Get on the bridge! Stop! Get car!
Hosted by Sean Sticks Larkin.
You know you're on camera, right?
Welcome to Crime Cam 24/7. The FBI ranks restaurants as one of the top 10 most common settings for violent crime in the U.S. Fast food chains rarely have any formal security presence on site, and that makes them an attractive target for low-level criminals looking for a quick score. Unless, of course, they pick the wrong restaurant on the wrong night.
Louisville, Kentucky. Saturday, February 15th, 2020, 10:02 p.m.
Newlyweds Nicole and Chase McCowan are out enjoying their date night as the sole patrons of their favorite restaurant. Suddenly, this masked man enters. He heads straight for the cash register, gesturing wildly with his hands. Then, he pulls out a handgun. The woman in blue fearfully backs away as the assailant appears to direct his commands at a different employee behind the register. This partition is between the McCowans and the interaction at the front of the restaurant. Initially, both parties are unaware of each other. The masked gunman starts to become impatient, pointing at the register, and we see the open hands of the nervous cashier struggling to follow his commands. Under a tremendous amount of pressure, the cashier tries to work the register as the gunman grows even more agitated, cocking his gun to show how serious he is. The cashier can't seem to think straight and fumbles with the register while the gunman keeps barking orders. In the meantime, the commotion attracts the attention of the McCowans in the back. They appear to be talking about what to do before pulling out their revolvers and identifying themselves as police officers. The cop couple snap into action. As they approach the suspect, they do it tactically by splitting up and making a V. This forces the suspect's attention to be divided between the two off-duty officers.
So I initially just saw his face and I saw the mask, but it's a surgical mask. It's flu season. I didn't think a whole lot of it at the time, but it was the cashier's behavior that stood out, especially when I saw her hands go up. I looked at him and I was like, is he doing what I think he's doing? And he had a better view than I did and saw that he had a gun in his hand and it was a robbery taking place. So at that point, we just fell on training.
You can see me start to yell at him to drop the weapon and put his hands up, and he didn't listen to that part, took off out the door.
The brave couple chased the suspect before apprehending and holding him at gunpoint until Louisville Metro Police arrived. 30-year-old Justin Carter was charged with robbery in the first degree, possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, and receiving stolen property. He was sentenced to 13 years in prison.
This next bit of footage, captured on both dash and body cam, provides a first-hand look at just how dangerous things can get for police officers when a fearless suspect refuses to give up, no matter what's in his path.
Southfield, Michigan. Saturday, February 19th, 2022, 4:30 p.m.
A patrol officer is tailing a vehicle reported stolen from a nearby jurisdiction. When the driver pulls into a carport at an apartment complex, the officer tries to box the car in. But the suspect peels out of the parking lot. The patrol officer rams the back of the car.
And a 5 contact made. They're fleeing.
In an effort to stop this chase before it starts, ripping the rear bumper off and causing the stolen car to slide 180 degrees on the slippery roadway.
Contact made. Fleeing. Westbound direction.
The driver of the stolen car guns it and swings around the carports. The suspect is now out on the open road, but attempts to lose the police with a quick turn. But he loses control of the vehicle and gets stuck in a snowbank. The officer attempts another pit maneuver. This time, he wedges the stolen car onto a snow-covered median, preventing the suspect from fleeing.
Get out of the ground! Don't you move! Don't you move!
The officer exits his patrol unit and circles around to the passenger side of the stolen car. The passenger dives out onto the ground as ordered. Meanwhile, the suspect exits the stolen vehicle
Don't you move!
and hops into the police cruiser. The officer struggles to pull the door open. The officer pulls a window punch from his duty belt and breaks the glass on the driver's side window of the patrol car. As the patrolman struggles to detain the suspect, the car thief manages to put the patrol car in drive.
Don't you do it! I'm getting up! You do it!
The suspect floors it, gets around the stolen vehicle, and takes off. As seen through the window of the stolen unit, this resident, caught in the middle of a dangerous police chase, quickly pulls back into the driveway, narrowly avoiding being T-boned by the reckless car thief. The stolen police car reaches speeds of 50 miles an hour in a residential zone, ignoring stop signs and weaving through traffic. As the suspect rounds a bend and barrels over a roundabout. When the suspect approaches an intersection at the end of this residential street, there is a patrol unit waiting for him, willing to do anything to bring an end to the chase. After a violent collision, the suspect struggles with deployed airbags. While the suspect is still trying to get his bearings, officers arrive seconds later. The first units on scene hold the suspect at gunpoint, ordering him to surrender.
You're up. I got you. Don't let him get away. Don't you let him get away.
Meanwhile, the determined officer who initiated the pursuit, now riding passenger in another cruiser, arrives.
Box it in. Just don't run over anybody. Watch out. Careful, careful, careful.
Officers struggle to get eyes on the suspect, with the side window airbags blocking their view. When officers get a clear view of the suspect, an officer's rifle is just inches from his hands. But police quickly pull the suspect from the vehicle. The suspect is identified as 27-year-old Charleston DeJuan Williams. His 7-minute chase through metropolitan Detroit in 2 vehicles resulted in 10 felony charges, including resisting arrest and fleeing from police. William pleads no contest to the charges in April of 2022 and is sentenced to 19 months in a Michigan state prison. He was paroled in September of 2023.
Prepare for more feeds.
The violent crime rate in St. Louis is 4 times higher than the national average and rising. Today, residents there have a 1 in 67 chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime. But at least one resident of St. Louis doesn't seem scared by those stats, or anything else for that matter, as you're about to see.
St. Louis, Missouri. Wednesday, August 28, 2019, 12:34 a.m.
It's near closing time at Berman's Tavern on the south side of St. Louis. A group of regulars are seated at the bar enjoying the last few drinks of the night. Suddenly, the bartender and patrons are spooked by a sight at the entrance. One by one, they all surrender and get on the ground. Except for this man, 57-year-old master auto mechanic Tony Tovar. As Tovar's friend ducks underneath the bar, Tovar says something to him, takes a long swig of his beer, and goes back to scrolling on his phone. After several seconds, a man carrying a rifle appears on camera. Tovar is unbothered by his presence. Tovar's refusal to comply has caught the attention of the gunman, who shoves the barrel of the rifle into Tovar's ribs and tries to rip the phone from his hands. But Tovar is having none of it, wrenching his phone back from the would-be thief's hands. The gunman makes his way behind the bar, searching for something to steal. The robber demands Tovar hand over his cash, but the patron, staring down the barrel of a rifle, tells him he's saving his last $2 for another beer. The hapless gunman picks over items on the bar top, while Tovar casually lights up a cigarette. The robber pockets a cell phone from the bar before making his way back to the other bar patrons to shake them down. He demands Tovar's drinking buddy stand up and empty his pockets. With the barrel of the rifle pressed against his back, the frightened man empties cash from his wallet and tosses it on the bar. Tovar, casually observing the armed robbery, exchanges a few more words with the gunman. It's clear he's not giving up his beer money. The armed man then calls the bartender to his feet, ushering him at gunpoint to open the cash register and down on the floor behind the bar. Making the most of a low-score robbery, the gunman even demands the bartender bag up all the coins. Before the armed man makes his escape, Tovar has a request for the robber. He asks the gunman to grab him a beer while he's behind the bar, but the thief ignores him. The thief got away with a little over $300 from the cash register and a bar patron's phone. 2 days after the robbery, St. Louis Metro PD identify and arrest 37-year-old Kevin Jerome Moore on 4 counts of robbery and 1 count of armed criminal action. In July of 2021, he was sentenced to 141 months in federal prison.
Though the gunman didn't fulfill our hero's request for a beer at the end of the robbery, Tovar's point was made loud and clear. He's not about to let a violent criminal ruin his good time.
Prepare for more feeds.
Next up, road rage. In a recent survey, 92% of drivers report witnessing aggressive driving. The most common behaviors reported include horn honking and reckless lane changes. Not bad compared to the driver you're about to see, who puts men, women, children, and absolutely everything else in his path in grave danger.
Portland, Oregon, Saturday, June 10th, 2023, 9:54 a.m.
The driver of this pickup truck is 42-year-old Sidney Meacham. Stuck in traffic on the freeway and late for a meeting, he's not happy with road closures for a local parade.
They got it all blocked off. The Lloyd Center exit, the Convention Center exit, every motherfucking exit. You motherfuckers!
Meacham shares his frustration with the Department of Transportation crew on the side of the highway. The driver decides a little music is in order. To ease the tension, he turns on the radio. A moment later, Meacham puts the pedal to the metal as he approaches a blocked freeway exit. This enraged driver shows no regard for the safety of road crews blocking the exit that leads to the route of Portland's annual Grand Floral Parade. Meacham dodges a utility truck and barrels directly into the path of onlookers. Frightened spectators panic as Meacham drives his truck, which can essentially be used as a 5,000-pound bullet right through the blocked-off area. Some people not running for their lives wave at the enraged driver, hoping he'll stop, including this officer on foot. With Meacham now inside the perimeter of the parade route, the officers on hand decide not to aggressively pursue, as the driver would increase speed and put pedestrians at greater risk. As Meacham careens along the parade route, more people run for cover, while others desperately attempt to flag down the out-of-control driver. Moments later, this motor officer commands the raging driver to stop his vehicle. Meacham nods in agreement, but he has no intention of stopping now. The motor officer risks his own safety to stop Meacham, but the driver ignores commands from the officer and continues his reckless abandon.
I'm trying to get out!
Meacham avoids the pursuing motor by plowing through barricades, then onto a side street, nearly clipping a parade worker. With the pedestrian traffic behind him, Meacham takes a long drag off of his vape pen to calm his nerves. An unmarked cruiser bears down on Meacham, attempting to block him in a turning lane. Meacham takes a deep breath. It appears this may be the end of the line for this rage ride. But just as the motor officer behind him dismounts to conduct a traffic stop, Meacham zips away. Meacham eventually parks his truck on a residential street after a dangerous 15-minute rampage through a busy city parade. Portland police called off the pursuit due to heavy traffic in the busy downtown area, but descended on Meacham shortly after he parked. Miraculously, no one was injured or killed during the road rage incident. Meacham, who has a lengthy prior criminal history, including traffic violations and sex crimes, was charged with 38 counts of felony and misdemeanors, ranging from attempting to elude police to reckless endangerment and unlawful use of a weapon, which in this case was his vehicle. Meacham's case is pending in Multnomah County, Oregon.
Have you captured a crime on camera? Please send your videos and tips to crimecam247@lawnews.com. Prepare for next feed.
Every officer knows the saying, nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. During graveyard shifts, DUI stops are some of the most frequent calls, followed by burglary checks on closed businesses. Fortunately, sometimes the criminals make things easy for the night shift officers, as you're about to see.
Huron, Ohio. Wednesday, July 26, 2023, 2:20 a.m.
This Huron officer on foot is outside a local credit union investigating an alarm reported to dispatch. As the officer reaches the drive-thru at the rear of the building, a strange sound can be heard. It appears to be coming from the overhang above the drive-thru teller window.
995, come over to the drive-thru.
The officer takes a look around the building, surveying for any activity on the perimeter. A second officer arrives at the drive-thru. The two zero in on a panel attached to the drive-thru ceiling as the noise continues. The first responding officer positions himself several feet from a recycling bin, conveniently placed underneath the panel, while the second officer takes a position in the drive-thru lane. Both officers have their service weapons at the ready. Now, nothing to do but wait. A second later, the panel flies open, prompting the officer to draw his weapon. Both officers take several steps back, weapons aimed at the now open panel above the drive-thru. Whoever or whatever is up there appears to only have one way out. Seconds later, a backpack appears from the opening and drops to the ground. And a pair of legs dangle out of the opening. The police have the element of surprise on their side and close in on the descending burglar.
Get out. Get out.
Okay. Just put your hand behind your back.
And just like that, the officers take out the trash. Or more accurately, the recycling.
Get out. Get out.
Adding insult to injury, as officers maneuver the suspect, the wheels of the recycling bin spin. And the burglar falls flat on his face. The suspect was identified as 27-year-old Tristan Heidel, who told police he broke into the credit union because he was broke. The backpack he dropped out of the ceiling contained tools and a drill. Heidel is charged with breaking and entering, possession of criminal tools, and safecracking. As of November 2023, Heidel's case is pending trial in Huron County, Ohio.
His case is still pending, and you can take it to the bank. It doesn't look good for him. That's all for this edition of Crime Cam 24/7. I'm Sean Sticks Larkin. Thanks for watching.